Good evening. This meeting is now called to order. This is a special meeting of the City of Seaside Parks and Recreation Commission. Roll call. It's 5:30.
Commissioner Lobo, Commissioner Walton, Commissioner Moulton,
Present.
Commissioner White,
Present.
Commissioner Gaines, Chair Maxwell.
Present.
For the record, we have a quorum.
Very good. The next item is public comment. Members of the public wishing to address this commission on matters within the jurisdiction of the City of Seaside, but not on this agenda, may do so during this public comment period for up to 3 minutes. Comments on specific agenda items are heard under that item. For the public record, please state your name.
Members of the public in the chamber, please approach the podium, and members of the public on Zoom, you may use the raise your hand feature or dial *9 if you're on a telephone.
Public comment is still open.
Chair, I have a public comment on Zoom.
Okay.
Marcus Boykin, you can now unmute yourself and make your public comment.
Marcus Boykin.
You are free to make your public comment, Marcus.
I'm just here for no cap.
Okay.
Okay, public comment is still open. Okay, seeing no one in the chambers and no one on Zoom, public comment is now closed. Okay, we'll move on to item number 4, approval of the minutes of our November 18th, 2024 meeting. I'll entertain a motion to approve.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the minutes from the November 18th and December 16th meetings.
Second.
Okay, it's been motioned to approve the minutes of the November 18th and December 16th, 2024 meetings. And seconded, anything under the question? There is a correction that needs to be made on the November 16th, or no, November 18th meeting. On item number 9, reports from commissioners. The last comment by the chair, there is a spelling mistake. It's supposed to be 10th anniversary. Kind of in the middle of the paragraph there. And that's the only thing I see. Is there any other comments or questions? Okay, all in favor? Aye.
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 Opposed? Hearing none, motion. Oh, abstention. Okay, very good.
So the voting was 3 ayes and 1 abstention.
Correct.
Motion carries.
Very good. Okay. Review of the agenda is the next item. If there's any items that arose after the 72-hour posting deadline, this is the point in the meeting where a vote may be taken to add the item to the agenda. A 2/3 majority vote is required. Anyone have any items you want to add to the agenda or remove, whatever? Okay, seeing none, We'll move on.
Chair, if I may,
Public comment on this item?
there's no public comment on this item, but
Okay.
just want to, for the record, just announce that Commissioner Lobo has joined the meeting.
Yes, sir. Welcome, Commissioner LeBeau. Okay. Okay, the business items, 6A. This is the nomination and election of a new chair and vice chair for the Parks and Recreation Commission for 2025. So nominations are open for the office, well, for both of them. Yes, Commissioner Moulton.
Yes, I'd like to nominate Commissioner Maxwell for the position of chair and Commissioner White for the position of vice chair.
Okay,
To make-
Commissioner Lobo.
I'd like to recommend myself for chair and Commissioner Maxwell for vice chair.
Aye.
Okay, how do I get out of it?
Okay, so now the next step would be, if there's no more nominations, we'll start with Chair Maxwell. Do you accept the nomination for chair?
Yes, I do.
And then Commissioner, we'll start with chair first. So Commissioner Lobo, do you accept the nomination for chair?
Yes. But point of clarification, we were still under the nomination. So even if there is a second, everyone has an opportunity to nominate.
I decline.
That is correct. So that nomination is valid. But now we go to vice chair, or for the nomination of vice chair.
I decline.
So we still have a position of vice chair open for nomination.
I'd like to nominate Commissioner Lobo.
Commissioner Lobo, do you accept the nomination for vice chair?
Yes, I'll accept it.
Okay, so we have two commissioners for chair, one commissioner for vice chair. So what we're going to do is we are going to do a blind vote. Let me go grab some Post-it notes and we will do the voting. Please list.
So who are the nominees?
The nominees for chair are Bobby Maxwell and Carla Lobo. The nominees for vice chair is Carla Lobo. So please, as you're voting, please please write a vote for chair and write a vote for vice chair
On the same piece of
on
paper?
the same piece of paper. When I did this for the NIC, they thought I was like Jeff Probst on Survivor. So let's see if I can recap that.
We want the same energy.
Except this time we're voting to, no one's getting voted off. All right, so we have one vote for Maxwell for chair. And the vice chair was left blank. We have one vote for chair for Carla and one vote for vice chair for Carla. So that's one vote Maxwell for chair, one vote Carla for chair, and one vote Carla for vice chair. We have one vote for Maxwell for chair and one vote for Lobo for vice chair. That's two votes Maxwell, one vote Lobo. We have another vote for Maxwell for chair, another vote for Lobo for chair. So that's three votes of Maxwell for chair, one vote for Lobo chair, and three votes for Lobo vice chair. And the final vote is Maxwell for chair, vice chair for Lobo. So Maxwell will be the chair and Commissioner Lobo will be the vice chair.
Thank you, Mr. Mewis. And thank you all for your confidence.
James declined the nomination. Chris nominated, but, okay. James then nominated Carla for vice chair. All right, do we have, I don't want to take over for you, Bobby.
Do we have what?
Public comment.
Oh, public comment is now open on this item.
Public comment is open on this item. If you are on Zoom, please use the raise your hand feature or dial *9. I am not seeing anyone in the chamber. And at this moment, the one member on Zoom is not raised their hand.
Public comment is still open. Okay, seeing no one in the chambers and no one on Zoom that's raising their hand, public comment is now closed. Our next business item is submission of Form 700. Have all the commissioners completed their Form 700 and given it to the...
If you have a completed form, please hand it to Ms. Navarro. And if you need more time, a blank copy was provided to you. We just need to make sure that it gets submitted to Ms. Navarro so she can submit it to the city clerk.
Thank you. Thank you for all your hard work too, Ms. Navarro. Do we need public comment on that? Oh, we do, huh? We do. Okay,
Business item.
correct. Okay, public comment is now open on this item.
Members of the public wishing to make public comment on the submission of the Form 700, please approach the podium or raise your hand.
No one
See no one.
is in the chambers approaching the dais. And no one on Zoom, so this public comment is closed on this item. Okay, business item 6C is discuss project ideas for potential allocation of funds from the Neighborhood Improvement Commission in fiscal year 2025-2026. Ms. Commissioner Lobo.
Point of clarification, when is the NIC asking us to have this list ready for them? I know they've started early so that they can avoid transgressions from last year.
I'm going to be giving a presentation that will highlight that information.
Perfect.
Yeah, because let's see. You gonna give us a presentation now?
Yep.
Okay,
I'm pulling it up.
thank you. Yeah, I see. Yes. Oh, the others, that's that other stuff. Oh. Right.
All right, Commission, I am Dan Lewis, and for those of you that don't know, I have been appointed as the new Assistant City Manager, so I do have a new title. That's where you see it there, so I just want to let you all know that I'm also the liaison to the NIC as well, so I'm kind of been able to work with them as they start to develop this process, so I have a little bit more of a working knowledge to kind of assist this commission with it as well. So we're looking at project ideas for potential allocation of funds from the NIC for the 25-26 work plan. The presentation from the computer. All right, so just a little bit about the Neighborhood Improvement Commission. They're trusted with and hold the duty of making recommendations and advising the council on matters pertaining to general improvement of the neighborhoods within the city. And just so if the commission remembers, this sign that you see here on this slide was actually a kind of reverse allocation. Back in the day, the Parks and Rec actually had some money, and the Neighborhood Improvement Commission came to the Parks and Rec to provide allocations for projects. And this was, a part of that plan that happened at that time. So in 2018, the council adopted Ordinance 1054, which directs 50% of all transient occupancy tax generated by short-term rentals to be directed toward community and park improvements with the NIC, and then they provide the recommendations to the city council for consideration and approval. And so the NIC solicits input yearly from other commissions and nonprofits for project ideas. So the NIC sent a letter out to city commission liaisons and nonprofits to distribute with the intention to solicit input for 25-26 projects. I sent that email and letter to our chair, and then I put it on the agenda for discussion today for the commission to make those, to come up with ideas and then put the plan together. The deadline to submit project ideas is February 28th. And then the projects will be reviewed at the NIC retreat on March 1st. We look at some of our past Parks and Rec recommended projects, the NIC, we have the Wheeler Street tennis courts, the tree giveaway program, which has completed 2 years, and we will be moving forward into our 3rd year. There was the Trees and Parks program. The benches wasn't part of this one. That's a type on there, but the adult fitness equipment for Lincoln Cunningham Park, and then additional water fountains in parks was also recommended by the commission. You can see the photo there of the Wheeler Street tennis courts, how they look. And then now, so the recommendation just to discuss project ideas for potential allocation of funds from the Neighborhood Improvement Commission and submit the request by the deadline. So we will have one other meeting date prior to that, so we can kind of finalize it, but now is really kind of to start the ball rolling to get some ideas. We have about a month, so we can start come up with some ideas now. However, the commission would like to proceed, and then we can finalize that list to send to the NIC by the deadline on the 28th.
Very good. Thank you, Dan. Or Mr. Assistant City Manager. Commissioner Lobo.
My recommendations would be to, one, continue the tree for the 25-26. I know you mentioned we're going to continue it in our 3rd year, but just to certify those funds, that'll be my first recommendation. My second recommendation would be for the track program, which is a recreation program that we're going to be starting in April. My third recommendation will be for the PAL program, which is another recreation program that we currently have. Given the amount of children that we have, the amount of effort that our recreation employees have to put in, I think it would be best for us to start investing some of that money into some of the recreation programs. And my fourth recommendation, which I really would debunk the second for track, would be for the swimming lessons. So I had finally an opportunity to enroll my 5-year-old into swimming lessons, and I'd like to extend that a little bit more. I know it's already hard to get in there, but if we can allocate some funds in those recreation programs, I think we'd have some one, more employee facilitation, but also we'd open it up for more individuals to be able to have access to those programs. And I'll have a more formal presentation at the next meeting, kind of allocating the funds that I'm thinking of, and then presenting the benefits of it and kind of illustrating the overall picture of my recommendations.
Thank you. Anyone else? Well, I tend to agree with Commissioner Lobo or Vice Chair Lobo, excuse me, on all of those recommendations that she's put forth. The tree program has been great for the number of years that we've been doing it. The track idea is great. I'm on board with that. And the PAL program is a big, I don't want to term it a drain, but it is. It's really expensive for the recreation budget because we're paying for the facilities, correct? I don't know the exact cost, but
The main
and the
fee,
swim lessons too.
the main cost that the rec department has to pay for PAL is use on the weekends, where MPUSD does charge us a custodial fee. So that is where it adds up. Weeknights were okay because they already have a custodian on site, but it's when they have to bring in a custodian after hours.
Commissioner or Vice Chair?
For clarification, it's anywhere between $200 to $500 a day, and we're utilizing it every weekend for about 2 months, just about 2 months. And it just keeps getting bigger and bigger. So we're having other municipalities come in. Due to the fire in Moss Landing, we had to take on an additional cost because they had to come here instead of us usually going there. So that's just another line item that they've also inquired this year.
I believe it's more in the neighborhood of like $600 or something.
For PAL basketball, it is 600 because we have the gym from 8 a.m. till 6 p.m. It's I believe it's $50 an hour. What the charge is.
But that's a big cost. And then we have the referees that are kind of pricey for the older kids too. So that would be any kind of help would be welcome in that area. Anybody else have any Commissioner?
This is a discussion, right?
Yes,
No
yes.
protocol. My question is about the basketball and funding for that. Can you clarify, anyone, why that would come out of the NIC budget? Go ahead, Vice Chair, please.
We have an opportunity to allocate these to either parks or recreation that we support, since we're the Parks and Recreation. And so in the past, we've supported part of our larger strategic plan to fulfill that, like the Lincoln Cunningham adult equipment. And so we'd like to start using some of that in our recreation department so that we don't have a situation where we don't have enough funding in the recreation budgetary in order to fund the PAL program, because the PAL program is right now funded through the police activities, but it's managed by the employees of the recreation department. And so those that oversee it either have to volunteer to be a coach, have to be there every weekend. And if we exhaust those and there's other recreational programs, we may lose that program, and therefore we'll lose accessibility. Children will lose accessibility, and I believe we have over 100 kids that sign up each year. So we'd like to begin to start having some of that fun, and perhaps when we have item number D, we can talk about maybe facilitating those funds permanently so that we're not, again, next year utilizing the funds of the NIC and then look at other future projects.
I'm sorry, even after all that, I still don't understand why that wouldn't be a budgeted city item.
Well, I'll clarify a little bit if I can. A number of years ago, the Police Activities League was it was standing alone and it was failing because of the lack of participation of the police department. They would come if they were being paid, and they're paid big money when they're on duty and stuff. So with the help of the Mayor Pro Tem, we did a collaboration with the city recreation department and the PD to make the program happen. So it's not just the PD or it's not just the rec, it's a combination really of that.
No, and it is. And so we do budget funds out of the rec department for it. And PAL does have its own budget as well. But it is, I mean, it's, if we were to solely rely on the PAL budget, it wouldn't come anywhere near the cost that is needed to run just one program, let alone if we are building and running multiple programs. So we have, right now, we currently have PAL soccer, which is new. This will be our second year, and PAL basketball, which has been the staple in the community. And one of the missions and goals of PAL is we provide this basketball program at a very, very affordable cost, because we want to make sure that we are keeping the kids off the streets and engaged in meaningful activities and provided with mentorship. But as Vice Chair Lobo stated, the costs are going up, right? While it is budgeted, it is pretty significant when we start thinking about gym space, uniforms, staff costs that go into. If we can't get volunteers like we desperately need to coach teams, we are looking at city staff that are now thrown into coaching. And it takes their hours away from other programs, right? So we are looking for ways to kind of maximize the program, and, a little extra funding could help. Whether or not that meets the NIC's mission on allocating funds, that would, we would have to really figure that piece out, right? How does PAL basketball, general improvement of the neighborhoods within the city? I think there's a strong case that it is. Kids off the street and in activities that is better for neighborhoods. And so that, I think you would have to, really, you have to identify that. So that would be up to the commission.
And it's not just the basketball, it's soccer, junior giants, and also we're trying to get a track program started. Yes, Commissioner.
So just to piggyback on what Dan said, it does provide not only a source of keeping kids off the streets, but if you want to compare apples to apples, it's like when we allotted allocation for money for the Piccolo courts to redo those. That was a recreation program that we offer on, I believe, Mondays at the Oldermeyer Center, and then also other allocated specific program times for Piccolo at the tennis courts. I can think of the term, the tennis courts. So, and we're looking ahead. So if this expands to over 300 kids, though there is a budgetary in place through PAL and city and the recreation, we're already operating on we don't have a full staff in recreation. So we're already taking individuals that are staffed for certain programs out of those programs to staff this one. So if we start doing proactive activities like this and like item D that we'll hear, we'll be able to sustain that and then look at other avenues for long-term sustainability. because beautification and other areas like equipment, like adult equipment, also falls into activities in a park. This is the same realm, except that we don't have our allocated facility as far as like a basketball gym. Had we had a basketball gym, then we probably wouldn't be talking about our budgetary allotments, because we wouldn't have to spend the $600+ every weekend to pay MPUSD to utilize their gym. We probably would be sufficient enough with the budget that's already allocated, but because we have these additional expenses that are going up, we're facing potentially losing that in the future. And in order to prevent that, we start now to have those discussions.
Chair, if I may,
Yes, sir.
and just give a little clarification on the gym rentals. That's a fee that is relatively new to us. We didn't have to pay that 2 years ago. And so MPUSD's costs have gone up. While we get to use the space for free, we have to pay for their staff that aren't generally there. And when before they used to just waive that cost, but that's no longer the case.
Thank you. Any other comments, ideas? Just Commissioner Moulton.
Yes. How is Seaside represented when PAL basketball is brought to the community? Is it PAL basketball with City of Seaside? Is it City of Seaside presents PAL basketball? I'm just curious on if we're paying money into it and kids from all over the peninsula are using it, and people that live in Seaside's tax dollars are the ones that are supporting it. How's the city represented?
There's city staff that works there. There's also signage when they walk into the gym that kind of lays out what is expected of the spectators and their behavior and stuff. And on the bottom, there's the logo for Seaside PAL and also the City of Seaside logo. Yes.
So if you look at this guide, you'll be able to see that as a program offered under our recreation programs that we offer, just like PAL soccer, swimming classes. So to answer your question in simpler words, it is represented as a program that Seaside offers, just like swimming. If you want to utilize our swimming lessons, there is a cost for residents and there is a cost for non-residents. So we're collecting those fees, but it's open to the public, just like any of our other programs, like for example, our older adult programs. That is a city-sponsored program and is a recreation program, and it's offered throughout the Monterey County. It's just financially sponsored by PAL and a budgetary line item, and then also budgeted in the recreation. If I'm correct, please correct me if I'm wrong as well.
So a follow-on question to that would be, just for my own clarification, this is the Police Athletic League only from the City of Seaside Police Department?
Yes.
And how does City of Seaside Police Department get their funds for Police Athletic League programs?
So what happened was when PAL got transitioned to the rec department, the police department only provides some mentorship. They attend games and activities. There's no funding that comes to PAL activity, to the Police Activity League through the police department. All the funding is through the recreation department.
But the PAL program is a nonprofit, and we do fundraise to raise funds from different events. So,
you know, one of those things with PAL that, you know, Chair Maxwell is saying is the fundraising piece. And the PAL does have a really awesome winter fund. A winter thing that they do is where they adopt families that are in need and provide meals and gifts and activity things for those kids. And we work through the school district to get the families that are in the most need. So every year we adopt 5 families, and then the police department also adopts 2 through the POA. So we, you know, a lot of the funds that we do raise end up going back into that, where we're pushing it back to Seaside families.
Commissioner Lobo.
Also, they provide an end of the year banquet for the basketball, the PAL basketball at Embassy Suites, where they're not only presented with awards, they have an opportunity to speak, and they also get a certificate from our Board of Supervisors, our representative, Wendy Root at SKU, who has attended every year for the last couple of years, right?
Yeah,
Because
ever
my
since
sister-
she's been elected. Okay. Does anyone else have any other ideas or additional ideas for programs for this coming year or this year?
Chair, why don't we open up a public comment and see if anyone has some thoughts on this?
Okay, public comment on this
Mm,
agenda item is now open.
Members of the public in the chamber, please approach the podium. And members of the public on Zoom, please use the raise your hand feature or dial *9 if you're calling from a telephone.
My goal was not to speak tonight, but I'm rather passionate about this program since I helped start the program. And I think the commission can recommend whatever you wish and with Godspeed. The philosophy of the program, when I was initiated, again, you can do whatever you want and the NIC can do whatever they want. But for information purposes only, it was for brick and mortar. It was for the tennis courts. It was for it was for things, the tennis courts, murals, work on the park. It was things that could be touched and felt by the community. It was copycatted after the city of Monterey, to be very honest with you, i.e. they did the soccer field across the street. They did the walkway on the walk. So that was a touchy-feely that the community surrounded. So that was the initial, as of up to this past year, it was brick and mortar because it was felt by me, to be honest with you, that we donate $500,000 for social programs. This is sort of kind of a social program, but the brick and mortar, the benches on the Gentleman Award, that is a brick and mortar. So again, do as you wish. I am not telling you what to do. I just feel that it's important to know the history of the program and the purpose of the program, though it wasn't defined, but it was definitely blasted in their ears that the brick and mortar concept was a need. If you wanted to, I'm making this up, if we had $1 million, we could build a fitness course or whatever it be. It was so people can walk on something, can sit on something that can, at a playground equipment, I think they have done that. So that was initial concept. Again, anybody's welcome to recommend whatever they want to make. Just wanted to let you know that in a brief synopsis, the history of and the goals, and that is what has been maintained pretty much to date. So, and I apologize for but I'm just kind of passionate about seeing stuff done and see that that's hands-on and visual. Thank you. Sorry.
Thank you for your comments.
Public comment is still open.
Members of the public on Zoom, if you would like to make public comment on this item, please use the raise your hand feature or dial *9. Chair, no one on Zoom has indicated they would like to make public comment.
Okay, public comment is now closed. So what's your pleasure, commissioners? So are we done with that discussion?
So just recap, so it appears we have a couple items that we can jot down. We can come back at the February 24th meeting and then really kind of hammer out what our recommendation will be to the NIC. And then if anything pops up, commissioners, please feel free to send me an email and we can discuss further.
Thank you all. Okay, the next business item is D, receive a presentation on the recommendation from the Recreation and Parks Commission to make text amendments to Chapter 2.28 of the Seaside Municipal Code, Recreation and Park Commission.
All right, Chair and members of the commission, once again, this was an item that was recommended. Well, we know we've had multiple discussions about this and that it was going to be brought to the city council. At this time, they're not ready for this to be on a council agenda. However, Vice Chair Lobel has requested for the presentation to be made to the commission. While this is still semi-draft, I didn't really have anything put together, knowing that I wasn't going on yet. But there will be some variation of this, and I just want to, go over it with the commission. So here we have we're receiving the presentation on the recommendation from the Recreation Park Commission for the text amendments to Chapter 2.28 of the Seaside Municipal Code. So a little bit of the background. May 1990, Chapter 2.28 was amended and deleted entirely. And a new Chapter 2.28 Recreation Park Commission was established. In Section 2.28.030 under duties, A through F was added to the code. And in 2004, to be eligible for Tree City, the city needed to amend the chapter and add some additional items, which are G through L listed in duties. And those are specifically language around our Tree City status. So as the commission is aware, during the development of the 24-25 work plan, we determined that we would like to make changes to Chapter 2.28 and recommend those changes to the city council. We held meetings in July. We had the study session in August, September, and October. So we met 4 months, and at each meeting we discussed this. So the proposed text amendments were essentially is to repeal and replace Section 2.28.030, the duty section, and replace it with A through L. You all should have a copy of this in front of you. It's also in the staff report. I'm not going to read through it, but these are the changes that the commission went through at length and we came up with as what we wanted to see in the ordinance. So moving on, I mean, a couple of the highlights, we combined a lot of the topics that were involved around the trees. We got rid of the duplicates or things that were repeating themselves. We included facilitating input and concerns from the community and pertaining to parks and rec facilities, new and existing programs, events, and youth and adult sports, field user groups with the city. So really getting more feedback from user groups was one of the things that the commission wanted to see in there. So that's a new piece. Making sure that they're advising the council on matters regarding trees. I think that we really do a good job on that already. We have the tree program. So that was an area that we really wanted to consolidate. And making suggestions concerning matters to parks, playgrounds, and other rec facilities, which may be brought for the city council. So really what the commission is stating is that they want to see things prior to it being brought to the city council and making sure that that is happening. And then we discussed a little bit about the tax allocation. So I wanted to bring this up here. Chapter 3.24.121. This is the affordable housing neighborhood improvement section of the code of the transient occupancy tax. So the way that their code lists is annually 10% of the TOT tax collected can be used for short-term rental program costs, and the remaining net fund shall be allocated after the close of the current fiscal year. 50% to short-term rentals should be aside for the housing fund, while the other be assisted with or be allocated towards neighborhood park improvements with recommendations to the city council. So this is the piece where how the NIC gets their money. It's in this section of the code right here. And then that money is then discussed at multiple meetings and for the allocation. So one of the things that the commission wanted to look at was the tax allocation text amendment recommendation. So in theory, it would be creating chapter 5.04.403, and it would be under Parks and Recreation. And this section of the code has to do with the cannabis tax. So then annually 10% of the net cannabis tax collected from retail sales shall be directed towards community recreation programs and park improvements with recommendations to the city council by the Recreation and Park Commission. So it's a similar kind of thing that we discussed, kind of like looking at how the commission can get some funds that they could figure out a way what to do with and then provide recommendations to the city council. So the recommendation would be to have staff open up a public hearing at the next city council meeting with recommended changes to chapter 2.28 of the Seaside Municipal Code and provide direction on the proposed recommendation addition to chapter 5.04 section 5.04.403. This is what the recommendation would look like if this was brought to the city council, but this is just for you to kind of review and look at. Like I said, if brought to the council, there'd be some tweaks and whatnot, but this is kind of the gist of how a presentation would look based off your recommendations from the last meeting we had.
Thank you for your presentation. Questions? Commissioner Lovell.
So I did ask for this presentation because originally when we took this on, it was on our work plan. It had not been updated for over 21 years. It had been on the work plan for over 7 years, and there had been updates on this. So when we restructured our work plan, this was one of the high volume items that we wanted to touch upon. The reason we wanted it to be presented to the city council was so that we got direction. So when city clerk was ready to address these ordinance and update it, which I was given 2 years ago that this project was going to start, we were ready and we would have that information relatively available to supply to our city clerk. I have relentlessly reached out to city council since the beginning of this month. I've sent four communications asking to meet because it was taken off to meet with the team that makes the final decision on approving the agenda. In January, I was made aware that it was taken out due to the fact that city clerk wasn't ready to move on making those changes. But my rebuttal to that was we wanted to make sure that it was presented to the city council so that they can provide us with feedback so that we would understand what we need to change in the event we cannot utilize that 10% cannabis taxes. And the reason why we went to cannabis taxes is because the first two measures, J and M, I believe, were already allocated, and those would need to go through the city process of hearing and changing those ordinance to allocate that to our commission. So after speaking to Jessica in length, myself and Dan, she recommended that the cannabis tax wasn't being used. And so in order to see if that was able to us to take on that tax and utilize it either for, again, to bring back the track and PAL components. If we can't use it for the NIC, we would have our own funding in order to allocate that and continue providing programs. Because it is a time sensitive subject, I keep asking the determining team that approves and the items on the agenda to me so that I can make that point. Because if we don't have feedback, we're going to look at 2 years ahead, another 2 years, until city clerk is able to get to this subject matter. But if we can get it now, make those adjustments, and when they are ready to do that, we are ready to go, and we potentially could be one of the first to get that ordinance change, get that funding included, and then we can start targeting some of our larger areas on our work plan that we've already created. And so that was the means of that. Again, I still haven't heard. I know that they're supposed to be meeting this week to approve February's. And so I'm asking to meet so that I can get an understanding why it was taken off and why we're not able to have it put back on, so that we can just get direction, so that we can complete this section off of our work plan, check it off, and move on to the next. We put on so much time for this, especially including several departments, so that we can understand and see if we can allocate some of this funding. And if we can't, it would be good to know now so that we're not trailing this item again next year, and we can put it to rest. Again, we haven't made this change in over 21 years, and so it would be nice to get the council's feedback on what changes we can allocate to this and what changes we won't, especially if they already have something in mind to allocate that cannabis tax revenue, because it hasn't been done. And I've also been in contact with 3 of the cannabis businesses that are willing to come and speak on our behalf at the city council meeting, agreeing to have this 10% be put to our commission if need be. But we need the opportunity to present that to the council and just get some feedback.
Thank you. Okay. Anyone else? No. Public comment is now open.
Members of the public in the chamber, please approach the podium. Members of the public on Zoom, please use the raise your hand feature, dial *9 if you're on a telephone.
Okay, seeing no one in the chambers and no one on Zoom, public comment is closed. Okay, the next order of business is item 7, reports from recreation staff.
All right. Well, since we met last in January, no, sorry, we're in January, in December, we've had a couple events. We had the older adult holiday luncheon, which was a great success. We had the New Year's Eve dance. Now we're January is kind of a lull for us, right? As we start to get back into the swing of things, we're going to pick things up here. We did start a new program in January. We started an adult baseball league. We weren't getting any traction with softball, so I used some of the contacts I have for baseball, and we have a 7-team league going on right now at Catino Park on Saturdays. So that was really neat to see, giving something for the adults, something, different, and taking advantage of some dead time that we had out at the field. And then we are looking for, as we start in February, we got the father-daughter dance coming up. And then we're really starting to ramp things up as we get into the spring months. So rec department is moving. You all have our new activity guide that's there before you with everything that we have up until June. So we are excited. We have some trips and classes for everybody. The older adults, we got some nice trips in there too. So really just looking forward to new year and some new activities for everybody.
Thank you for your report. Any questions? Anyone? Okay. The next item is reports from park staff.
Good evening, Commissioner and members of the commission. I'm Thomas Corman, the Public Works Director, City Engineer. So I'm just here to give you a brief report on the Lincoln Cunningham Park. So as you're aware, the concept plan was to have, ADA compliant parking along Lincoln Street, purpose trails, use trails, basketball court, a 5 to 12-year-old play area, a 2 to 5-year-old play area, and then a plaza and fitness area. And so in the original contract that was let and approved by City Council, it was the trail work that was in the original scope. So it included all that ADA parking that I had mentioned, the multi-use trails, and then the stormwater drainage improvements. So at the January 16th council meeting, just wanted to inform you that it was approved, a change order for $742,000 and $742 and $800. Excuse me, $742,800. So that will install, that will complete the 5 to 13-year-old play areas, the hardscape area around the 2 to 5-year-old play area, and then hardscape area for the fitness area. So we're just very appreciative that, as you recall, on November 21st, the NIC approved $160,000 to build that 5 to 12-year-old play area. So that's the update that I have for you now. So those contracts are being signed for that change order, and that work will proceed forward. So thank you.
Thank you for your presentation. Does anyone have any questions? Oh, that's really good news. Thank you.
Thank you.
I just want to say, if you haven't driven by the park, look at those pathways. They are pretty spectacular.
Oh, okay.
And it's really going to transform that whole park.
It's beautiful.
I do have a question. I apologize. Do we have an updated completion on that? I know that there's been a lot of work done on the street on that area too. It looks really nice. Just wondering, has the completion date changed due to the rains we've had and any other maybe element aspects of it?
So with the additional scope of work, that will add additional construction days to it. The change order has not been signed. It's in the process. So that's being negotiated with the contractor of how many additional days they'll need. So I don't have that at this time, but the next meeting we'll be able to provide that to you. Okay. Yeah, but just looking at the scope of work, I can probably anticipate it's at least probably 45 to 50 additional working days. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to reports from commissioners. Commissioner Moulton,
Nothing to report.
Commissioner Vice Chair Lobo.
Nothing to report.
Commissioner Walton. Commissioner White.
Nothing to report, just a couple of comments as what I observed when I drive past the parks. And it's good to see how they're being occupied by the young kids and their parents out there with them. That's really good to see. So it's serving its purpose. That's all. And the project that the gentleman just mentioned, I can really see the difference. It's up and coming and it's moving. So thank you.
Okay, my turn. I want to remind everyone that we have vacancies on this commission and we need to reach out to our fellow community members to see if they're willing or able to put an application in to be on this commission. We've lost a couple of very valuable commissioners in the recent past. I attended the holiday luncheon around Christmas time. I want to remind everyone too that Pachetti Dog Park 10-year anniversary is coming up this year in April. And maybe we need to attend some city council meetings and put a buzz in the council's ear about maybe planning some kind of a celebration for that park. Also, I do go around to a lot of parks, and I have noticed that there was some transients that had set up camping little areas. So I notified the police, and they removed the individuals and their tents and stuff like that. That's all I have. So our next scheduled special meeting is February 24th, 2025 here at 5:30. Thank you all for attending tonight. This meeting is adjourned.